Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Duval Dive. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game.
And I'm Travis Holmes with BigCatCountry.com.
And you're listening to this thing on the Believe Podcast Network. Welcome in, all you Duval devout and Duval divers. I got to give the man his props for being there in the comments, ready to go, letting us know 1 a.m. in London, England, and all is well. Good to see you, Radius. Always glad to have you aboard. And of course, if you don't have to be quite as loyal as Radius, but you do need to like and subscribe as we grow this thing rapidly. Travis has informed me, you, us, everybody that we are approaching 1,000 subscribers ever so rapidly, and it would be awesome if we could cross that 100%. Robert in the comments jumps in. I got to say, Robert at Zert, Titans Hate Week is up and running 100%. Yes. Do you topple the Titans this weekend and do what you need to do? This isn't a preview episode proper, but I'll put it this way, Travis. As somebody who has Duval Devout in his life, what do you get the Jacksonville Jaguar fan that currently has literally everything? It is absolutely insane. And then suddenly out of nowhere, Adam Schefter tweets the one thing they're still looking for. Y'all fools still be snubbing Freddy T. The latest finalists for the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame, I should say, have dropped. Yeah. And I show the picture so you out there who don't know yet among the Duval Devout can be assured that once again, not only is Freddy T snubbed, personally, I think Jimmy Smith not even in the conversation is just a bigger crime, from my personal opinion. But
it's so wild. It's so wild. The fact that Freddie, again, the group is one thing, and that's fine. Like, again, they got Larry Fitzgerald. They got a few guys on this list that are obviously and easily qualified and should be on that list. I get it. But the only running back that you have then listed, or, running back that you have listed is Frank Gore. That's wild. I don't think there's many people who will be willing to truly make a real legitimate argument that Frank Gore deserves to be in the Hall of Fame above Fred Taylor.
And
I don't think Frank Gore will make that argument. And matter of fact, I just saw an interview with Frank Gore that took place last year when Freddie T was it was on the Jim Rome show when Freddie T was selected as a finalist over him, saying that Freddie T needs to be in the Hall of Fame. So he seems to be aware that Fred is that guy. Like, so it's just wild to me. He's been a semifinalist for 7 straight seasons, and somehow he fell short of that 80% vote, that threshold for the 50 Hall of Fame votes. And I don't understand it. How can a guy who's been a finalist both 2024 and 2025 not be a finalist this season? Like, Can you explain this to me? I know you don't have a vote, but I don't get it.
Well, and I'm gonna put the faces back up there again. I don't know. To your point, what I hear you saying is you would take Frank Gore out to give Fred Taylor a spot. I don't know how I feel about that per se, but I'm not necessarily against it.
And to be clear, I want to give in any context for anyone who's a first-time listener. Kyle is a 49ers fan. Like, that's the team he actually supports. So I can understand your pushback there. But again, if you're talking about the people who played the game are saying that, hey man, this is the guy. Like, starting here, when the best guys in the game kind of say that he should be in the Hall, it feels obvious that he should be in the Hall, right? Like, Tom Coughlin called Fred Taylor the best running back he's ever coached. And he's coached a lot of good ones, including, Tiki Barber. Jim Brown said Freddie T was the best running back he ever saw play. John Lynch's famous quote, right? John Lynch's famous quote. I got it written down because I was like, this pissed me off when I saw this. I'm like, yo, this is wild. Like, what John Lynch said about him was like, when he's whole, 100% physically, he's in an elite class all by himself. There aren't many guys who can compare him in terms of being able to do so many things. And that leads us to the real point of this conversation, right? Like, it's about injuries. It's about it's about the fact that he wasn't able to finish whole seasons. And unfortunately, that resulted in people looking back at him in one way and also having that whole Jacksonville small market thing tagged onto him in addition to all those other issues, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if you agree.
I gotta throw this in there, Travis, because you may not remember how long I've been the student of the game. Okay. But I was doing it back when Freddie T was still playing and a young Adrian Peterson was in the league. I didn't say rookie Adrian Peterson. I said young Adrian Peterson. All right. Let's keep that in mind. It would have been year 9 or year 10-ish for Freddie T at that point, right? Why do I go to the point to mention that? That's a great point you're asking. An excellent question you asked there, Travis. You're a smart human being. But the point is this. I actually wrote an article, did a data study in my 20s, I might add, as the student of the game. That's right. The student of the game used to write as the student of the game. The site's long defunct now. You probably can't find the article, but what the study entailed is that over the average life of Freddie T's career, he missed about 3 or 4 games per season. You know, another running back who at that time, only about 3 or 4 years in the league that did that very same thing? Adrian Peterson.
All right, but Adrian Peterson is in a whole class by himself.
Hold on, though. We're talking about the fact that the knock against Freddie T was how many games he missed. He didn't miss any more than Adrian Peterson did, and that's the point. But you go hold that against Freddie T, when on average, he didn't miss any more games than Adrian Peterson. Yes, I know that Freddie T missed some seasons, but overall, and then in year 10 after all that, making the Pro Bowl, what are we doing?
Well, we are always okay having the context, but my biggest issue was like at least they use Adrian, and the reason I said Adrian Peterson's in this class all by himself is because they use Adrian Peterson like a workhorse back, and that was the big difference because there aren't. How do I say this in the right way? You know what? I'm not even going to try to figure it out in the right way. I'm just going to get it out of my mouth, and however it falls, it falls. Like he was the face of the team in the 90s and the 2000s. He had 7, he basically, he had 7 1,000-yard rushing seasons. He basically averaged 1,000 yards per season and 6 touchdowns every year in his 11 years with Jacksonville. He had 13 overall, but we don't really count those Patriot years. That was. He was on his hiatus. I don't know. His swan song, we call it. But he never really consistently got those 250 to 300 yard, 300 carry seasons. And that was my biggest issue because then they added MJD to kind of prolong his career, but that also limited his his carries.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So that's kind of where I'm looking at it. So that's the argument that Pete Prisco was making, CBS Sports, shout out. He says only 3 players have carried the ball 2,500 or more times and averaged 4.5 yards per carry in their career. It's Barry Sanders, it's Adrian Peterson, and it's Fred Taylor. Sanders is in the hall, Peterson is a lot, to your point, and Fred Taylor doesn't make the finals. That's the problem with this is no, you're obviously making this a different argument and you're moving the goalposts just slightly there because it's Fred Taylor, because it's small market, blah, blah, blah. But in his career, he only had 1 season with over 300 carries, Fred Taylor. That was 2003, and he rushed for 1,600 yards. 4.6 yards per carry. And then he had 4 seasons with over 250 carries, and his worst season in that bunch was his rookie year, where he was, again, 4.6 yards a carry, and he had over 1,200 yards rushing. He's a career 4.6-yard rusher. He's obviously elite if you look at the tape. I don't even know what we're doing here and having this conversation because this dude is amazing. And I'm not saying he has to be Barry Sanders or Adrian Peterson to say he's amazing. In this group of running backs, it's easily obvious Fred Taylor is the dude. And they are just not seeing it because they're not watching the film. And it's the same conversation we've had about the Jaguars. It's the same, the current day Jaguars. It's the same conversation we've had about the Pro Bowl voting and the Hall of Fame. It's all related because these dudes ain't watching. And because they ain't watching, they're looking back at the stats just saying, well, he didn't have, he didn't lead the league in rushing, so I guess he wasn't great. No one's turning on the tape, man. And that's my biggest issue here. If you turn on the tape, you can't tell me that guy ain't that guy, if that makes sense.
It 100% does. I mean, you've already had your conversation on this show with Richard Sherman. I don't need to add to that. But no, but I think there's that and so much more. I remember I had the opportunity to ask the first question of Tony Baselli at the NFL Honors. No, we're going to get to him. Hold on. Don't.
Okay.
Here, I got this. But I asked Tony Pacelli who he thought the next Jaguar should be. By the way, shouts to 3-point conversion for that opportunity. And he said, Fred Taylor. So somebody in the building already agrees with you before I was there. Now, obviously, you were about to show the comment for another prolific member of the Duval Devout. And obviously, because we're not talking about Trevor Lawrence, he's all about showing love because he's a Trevor Lawrence hater. But shouts to Jason Trent, Jaguars United. It's because he played for the Jags, plain and simple. Dude was a dog. Absolutely. Respect ain't coming. Jason Trent knows it. Liam Coen knows it. We've told you. I don't think there's any question there. And I'm still to this day surprised that Tony Pacelli got the nod he did. I don't know how he did it exactly. Maybe it's because of his prowess as a media member. I have no idea. But Jason also mentions people forget he would have won Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for some bum named Randy Moss. Again, a very legitimate point. By the way, you know somebody who has about as many, if not more, 1,000-yard seasons than one Randy Moss? Jimmy Smith.
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation. That's going to be the next fight that's already bubbling on the horizon.
I tell you, I know the problem is the log jam at receiver, and I get it, but I'm going to say something here. Jimmy Smith, if it weren't for his unfortunate suspension, which we don't have to get into the details of, where he had 860 or 70-ish yards already and missing 4 games, had he played those 4 games out, he surely would have broken 1,000. The only other human being with as many consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, were he to do that had more, was Jerry Rice. Jimmy Smith had Chris Carter numbers, Chris Carter plus, really. But nobody wants to talk about that. I mean, I did as a student of the game, but that's a separate conversation.
No, but so at the end of the day, like, it's another situation where Jaguar fans should feel a little bit, they should feel offended. And it is what it is. Like, I don't know why these media guys, and I do say these media guys like I'm not part of them, like, y'all don't make sense.
Games. That's how
because I watched the tape. Y'all don't make sense. Like, there are, like, I just want to put this into comparison. There are very few workhorse backs in today's NFL, right?
They don't exist.
They got more. Yeah, they got more passing down guys, more third down backs, running backs by committee, all that stuff. So, like, even with the 16 game schedule currently, right now, the top 7 running backs in today's NFL right now have 250 plus carries. So when we're talking about Fred Taylor not having very many of those situations, like, at that point, you can already see why this is going to damage him if you're looking at the longevity, looking back at his numbers. But then if you add the fact that Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame for having 3 good seasons in his 7-year career.
That's a great
Jerome Bettis has a worse resume, and he is in the Hall of Fame. Frank Gore is a finalist over Fred Taylor after never having a single season as productive as Fred's best. Like, come on, bro. I'm not trying to demean Frank Gore to get that point across, but this is obviously and blatantly a snub here. And I don't know why my media brethren with the Hall of Fame votes refuse to simply no ball. I don't get this.
I refuse to no ball snap. First of all, Ian, even as a Niner fan, I say this. I'm a bit more offended that you bring Jerome Bettis into this fight than Frank Gore. But, okay. The man, listen, I could have a whole show about how that dude carried Cordell Stewart on his back. Okay,
I know we got to get into some of the other stuff because we still got to. I mean, we got a whole podcast to talk about all this Jacksonville Jaguar related and adjacent items, like the fact that Liam Cohen's a dog as your head coach, the fact that this team has 12 dang wins and is just looking dominant, the fact that we want to circle back and talk about a little bit of strength of schedule. We got so much right now, man. But hey, man,
I see this trash and nonsense out there talk. The Jags have a weak skin. I saw, I just happened to peruse on Twitter where one of my favorite follows, Travis D. Holmes, happened to tweet something out. About idiots now trying to tell me that the Jags' strength of schedule isn't good, even though, and I think we said it. Well, I'll let you got the segment set up. I'm not going to get away up it. We'll get to it later, but yeah, I say you got a whole thing prepared. I thought you said, and if you don't, that's cool too. I'll say what I got to say. But what was it?
Well,
you said they were 6-3 against teams that are currently playoff locked. Okay, sure.
Well, but that was including the Colts at the time, who are now no longer playoffs. So that number moves a little bit now that the Colts
obviously they're terrible. Then they have nobody they're playing against. Yeah, you burn the damn franchise.
So shout out John Shipley, Jaguars on that side, man. That's our guy. We already know Liam Coen has done a great job, but we just didn't know how good of a job he's done because we are looking at this from one season in, not even the full season done yet. But Liam Coen, as it currently stands already, is 6 of all Jacksonville Jaguar head coaches in regular season games won at 16. He's behind Gus Bradley, who had the 14 wins. So he's going to beat Gus Bradley by the start of next season. He's going to pass Doug Peterson at 22 games, likely, sometime next year. Potentially could even pass Doug Marrone, if he can get a 12 win season in 2026. So that's wild to say. We could be this point next season talking about Liam Coen as the third winningest coach in Jacksonville Jaguars history after 2 seasons, potentially. That to me was a huge takeaway of this dude. This dude could be, 34 games in and the third winningest coach in our history, just because that's how low the bar has been, but also that's how dope, how awesome he's been so far. It's crazy.
Yeah, listen, I don't even know what to add to that.
No, that's fine. It's fine. I'll keep going. That's fine. It's been an incredible job by him and his staff.
I got a comment I want to go into, but to say that coaching isn't first and foremost about what's going on here. I've made this point too. It all started in the front office with Jimmy Stones and Liam Coen. And just because Jeff mentioned Natron means, that's what I'm talking about.
Natron means business. Yes, Lord. Stacey Mack. Yeah. Stacey Mack, Natron means, MJD were all used in the 90s on short yardage, and that kind of hurt Fred Taylor to not get those additional touchdowns. Then that's actually very fair. Those were your short yardage guys. And also, Fred didn't get that single season rushing record against the Pittsburgh Steelers because he had the podcast on Busting with the Boys, where he talked about the fact that he just didn't take care of his body right, and he started cramping in the third and fourth quarter because he thought he was going to get the record, and then he just couldn't finish the game out, and that sucks because that gives him the additional notoriety, like he got Cam Little the notoriety to get the NFL record on the field goal. It's kind of the same thing, and that could have catapulted him a little bit also. So that does suck a little bit, but I mean, you're not wrong. It just kind of is what it is. Having to look back on these things, but back onto that Liam Coen stuff. I wanted to finish that up because that's going to actually segue us into that strength of schedule conversation. So they've obviously done a great job. I mean, you can't have a 12-win team after being the first-time head coach in NFL history to take a team from a 4-win team to a double-digit win team, like a 12-win in this case, likely end up being 13. But now, let's be honest and put everything in the proper context. Most fans going into this season view the AFC South as a weaker division. Now, it hasn't been that. I want to be clear and say it's been the Titans have been weak, sure, but the division overall hasn't been what folks projected it to be. Like the Colts were a 500 team. Both the Texans and the Jaguars have had double-digit wins. That kind of makes what Cohen's done even more impressive. Like just looking at it across the board, like it wasn't just coasting on weak teams like some teams I see, like Denver and New England. Let's be real, man. They have a weak schedule.
The Colts did that too, though. I mean,
but being both a member of the media, but also a member of this fan base, I get to hear in all the spaces that I'm in and all the places that I'm talking to y'all, like I get to hear how fans of opponents' teams and how Jaguars fans kind of talk to each other. So then I get to hear how y'all all talking about everybody else having an easy schedule or that they ain't beat nobody or that they ain't played nobody. But we now have a full season of injury information. We know which teams were good. We know which teams have been inconsistent and losing games that they should have won and everything else. So we don't got to guess who's good and who's bad. We know it now. Like the Patriots have the easiest 2025 schedule right now based on teams' actual win and loss records per NFELO. I trust them more than many other sites, so I'm kind of just going with their information because everybody seems to have their own calculations on strength of schedule, and I'm not getting into that crap. I just can't. The Broncos have the third easiest schedule right now as of teams they've played on their actual win and loss records. That doesn't mean that these aren't good teams, but it does mean at minimum that they haven't been challenged. And the Jaguars, for anyone interested, have the 7th hardest schedule. That makes sense to me. Like, that's where I'm landing. The Jacksonville Jaguars obviously are tied in the NFL lead with the Seattle Seahawks for the most wins against current playoff teams this season. Again, the Jaguars and the Seahawks both have 5. The Texans have 4, which is tied with the 49ers and the Rams. That, to me, again, that all lines up.
See, and it was 6, but then the Jaguars had to bleep up the rotation.
I mean, dang Jaguars, we would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for y'all pesky cats. Like that's crazy. Um, but if I can be honest with you, because again, I like to share my biases when I have a bias with people. The people pretend it don't exist and they talk around it. I ain't that guy. I'm okay telling y'all when I have an early season bias. I thought the Jaguars would be lower than 7, and I'm going to be real about that. Like, because they have the 5 wins against playoff teams, again, most of the NFL, but they also played 4 of the 5 worst teams in the NFL. I'm not dumb. That's just how math works. They played the Raiders, the Titans twice, the Cardinals, and the Jets. That means you're probably going to have that. Those guys are going to bring your strength of schedule down normally. So 4 of those 12 wins kind of look weaker, but those 5 playoff caliber wins look dominant. And I'm real about that also. Like I think that paints a full picture of who the Jacksonville Jaguars are. You got a 14-point win over the Broncos paired with a blowout of the Chargers. That's hard to look past. Like that's probably who you are, but they are an inconsistent team who has found ways to be dominant. And there you go, Tim Allen, 12-4, baby. That's really what it comes down to. However you get it, you get it. But also you can say, all right, I see why y'all 12 wins might look like it has an asterisk Denver, or I see why your 12 wins might look like it has an asterisk New England, because it kind of feels like y'all should be. Y'all, it feels like y'all should be challenged if you're going to say I'm the best team. And the last time y'all were challenged, y'all got beat down by Jacksonville Jaguars team by 2 touchdowns. I think that's reasonable. Also, Duval. So, but if anybody's interested, like it's hard to look past that fight that feisty Texans team, because they have the third hardest schedule, the third hardest strength of schedule. And I'm being real about that too. Like they won less game than Jacksonville with a really hard schedule. They basically played the Jaguars' same schedule, but they also played.
Here's something that's interesting, too, that adds to that. Again, the Jacksonville Jaguars bleeping up the rotation, actually being good this year, makes the Texans look better.
Well, that's part of it. But they also played the 7-9 Buccaneers. They played the 11-5 Bills, and they played they played those 2 teams. Basically, substitute the Buccaneers and the Bills for the Bengals and the Jets. The Jets only got 3 wins. The Bills got 11 wins. That's going to make their strength of schedule a lot harder. And the Buccaneers got 1 more win than the Bengals. Like, that's the difference overall. So they got a little bit better on that part of it because the Jaguars ended up playing the lowly Jets. And they end up winning, 2 of their 3 different games. Robert
brings up this point, right? Travis Hunter, who would have been lauded as making a game-winning pass defended, now gets a bad call against him. That's currently keeping the Jags out of the number 1 seed. I think that's fascinating.
That dang bad call and that 19-point comeback. I mean, you can just say it's the bad call, but let's also be clear and say it was a 19-point lead blown in the 4th quarter against Davis Mills.
Yeah,
that's the other part of it. Either of those things don't happen. The Jaguars are a first-place team in the AFC with a bye, and Duval just balling and just partying it up with all drunkenness in Everbank Stadium on Sunday. Yeah, that's where it would be. But man, celebrate. Like Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars offense, we talked about this guy all Sunday, right? Like we know where this is going. We know what Trevor Lawrence has already done. He's been incredible. I mean, since the bye, like it is what it is. Like he is currently 7th in passing yards on the season, 5th in passing TDs, 2nd in rushing TDs for quarterback, only behind Josh Allen and 1 ahead of Jalen Hurts. Like, and he has a lot of those other stats that are a little bit more negative, like passer rating. He's 22nd. 19th in QBR. He has the 6th most stats taken and the 5th most interceptions. But all of those stats, shout out to Travis D. Holmes on all the socials because that's who posted that. Those great stats. But I just wanted to point that out that a lot of those bad stats are like really weighed down by everything that happened earlier in the season. Like if you're specifically looking at what he's done since the bye week, then he's a lot better because it's a what have you done for me lately league. Well, in the last 6 games, he has 19 touchdowns, which is the most in the NFL. He has he's 4th in QBR. That's behind only Drake May, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy. He's been freaking incredible. Full stop.
I'm going to make the argument as the Niners guy in the building that the past few weeks have really jacked up Brock's stats. 2 back-to-back 5 touchdown games. Granted, one was against the Bears, who weren't a bad team. The other one, I believe, was the Colts. So that's a whole other thing. Without Sauce Gardner, I might also add Radius in his bags in the comments here on this one. Shout out to the Jags for ending Phil Rivers, Uncle Phil, and Steve Wilkes' careers in a single season.
Jesus. Dang.
Good Lord.
They already did what they did to Dan Marino. Now we got to do it to these guys too. Damn.
Hey, no one is safe when you face the Duval.
Man, and while we at it, talking about the guys in the comments, like shout out to y'all because y'all obviously keep it a buck, like, and y'all know what it is. Like, and we want to have a conversation around the tape. I'm okay with that, but I hate when people don't like to have real conversations about what's going on with the team. Like, future games aren't played on past stats, right? We know Trevor Lawrence has played amazing since the bye week, or generally, at least since maybe let's say that Arizona Houston time frame. He's been playing incredible. But I also want to be clear in saying, like, in clearing up what we were saying on Sunday's pod. Like, when we're trying to give context, we're trying to give nuance in these conversations, and we got a little bit of, maybe even a lot of pushback on the socials in discussing the interception that occurred with 15 seconds left before the half. Like, I want to be clear, it was a great decision made by Trevor Lawrence, but he made the decision too late on where he threw it. Like, that was the part that I want to be very clear about. Like, when the ball was released, the pass needed to be either on his back shoulder or tossed into the back pylon so the linebacker wouldn't have time to turn around and find the ball with his hand. Basically, if he doesn't hit him in the stomach, in the torso, it's probably going to be a pass breakup. And live to fight another down. You'll be fine. I don't have to tell you. I can show you. So let's just talk about it. Here you go. I hate giving you guys my opinion without showing you how we got there. Like, the ball hits him in the torso. If the ball's late, but if he throws it high, it's probably going to, at the time he turns around, he might not even have time to get his hands up. It's going to be an incompletion out of the back of the end zone. So I'm going to pause this thing when the ball is let go. So you see it. The ball is gone now. That's either got to be a back shoulder throw because Parker's not ahead of the receiver, not ahead of the linebacker at the time that he's one step behind him, or that's got to be on the back pylon now at the time that it's thrown. That is all that I was ever saying, even on Sunday's pod. It can't be a bullet. If it's going to be a bullet, it's got to be thrown earlier. That's all that I'm trying to get at. Again, you got to be able to have a nuanced conversation and say, hey, man, the guy's not perfect. Don't treat him like he's Jesus. Like, I'm Jesus, God, whoever you pray to, whatever you worship, like money, whatever. That's my underlying point is, like, you got to be able to say, hey, man, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't good. Like, and many of the fan base keep acting as if it should be off limits to talk about that throw, which is, I just don't get. I don't understand that.
Somebody in the comments points it out. Jaguars United. Travis hates Trevor Lawrence, confirmed. 100%. No, and listen, the fact you're even using the word linebacker as describing the defense means it was the correct decision. He obviously had a mismatch. 100%. At no point did you say it was a bad decision. I'll back you on this. The throw wasn't where he wanted it to be, and probably wasn't the timing that he was looking for. But heading into week 17, he had 0 turnover-worthy plays over his last 4 games combined. And he had 3 in this one. Right. So that was one of the huge reasons for all the recent accolades for Trevor, is because on Sunday he had 3 turnover-worthy throws. You can't say I'm going to just give him accolades because he doesn't have these things, and then he has some, and now we can't talk about it. No, bro, we're gonna talk about it, and then we're gonna say he still played a good game, but we're going to talk about it because that's what adults do. I'm getting something. I'm getting something from the Student of the Game studios. There's audio released from when Trevor actually threw that ball. Let me go. Beep, pocket ass somewhere. Okay.
Man, to be clear and consistent, I told you guys a week ago that I don't care if Trevor Lawrence throws an interception here or there, as long as the big time plays are packaged with it.
I mean, Josh Allen does it, and he's still revered as an MVP. I'm just saying.
Right. If you have 2 turnovers or 3 turnover-worthy plays or whatever else, I don't care. Just make sure you package that with 3 to 5 touchdowns. That's where I'm always going to land. You better give me way more than you on the positive side and you give me on the negative side. Not being even, not giving me 3 turnover-worthy plays and then 2 touchdowns. Like, no. I've been consistent about this from day one. Yeah. Right, from day one. So I'm the only one that I feel like being consistent here, because the only way the team is going to consistently win is having a quarterback who is at minimum above average. I didn't say average. I say consistently above average. Jason Trent just said it in the chat. The drop interception by Cam Mitchell that Trevor threw was the way worse throw. And well, I mean, we got that right here. Like, so there you go.
Oh, okay.
Colts cornerback Cam Mitchell dropped an easy interception that led to the Parker Washington big play on 3rd and 10, where Lawrence later ran it in to give Jacksonville a 14-10 lead. Like, those are the kind of plays that you just can't have, because again, that leads directly to a touchdown on the next passing play from Parker. But you don't get that touchdown if Cam catches that interception. So again, they were fortunate that he dropped it, but the play still happened. And I think it's worthwhile to at least have the conversation and talk about it, because that's what you can't have from the guy who's been playing on fire lately. Correct. That's okay to say that.
And you mentioned consistency. Thanks to Jason Trent, Jaguars United, Trevor Lawrence hater, for being consistent in your criticism. No. But seriously, I pointed out too, and I don't have the show don't tell like you did for that one, but there was another one that was right in the hands of a Colts player as well. So there was 3 turnover worthy plays, and they got one of them. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Like, I mean, he had a few throws that got away from him this week, and it's okay to point those out and still say that the guy still played reasonably well, but I just have another level that I'm expecting of him to get to on a consistent basis. That's fine. Fortunately for Jacksonville this week, he only paid with the 1 interception. But to those local fans who reject any criticism of an NFL quarterback when they don't play perfect, I don't understand you. Stop being weird.
Let me even add somebody else very credible to the conversation there too. And I say this from having observed him in a number of post games. Granted, it hasn't been in the past 2 seasons that I personally witnessed it, but I personally witnessed it other times during the Peterson and the Meyer regimes. Somebody who's regularly critical of Trevor Lawrence's footwork and some of his timing in those throws. And it's Trevor friggin' Lawrence. I'm willing to bet he's just as angry about the Cam Mitchell.
I was just going to say that. Do you think these guys don't criticize themselves when they watch film as a position group or as a team? Like, I need the folks to understand that. Whether you've played college football, you played high school football, a serious high school program that watches film, or you've played in the NFL and you're listening to this podcast, this is a common thing. These guys, they're going to like look at each other and criticize them because they want these guys to be better, because this is their livelihood. And if you're looking for a podcast who's only going to discuss the good from every Jacksonville Jaguars game, win or lose, then it sounds like you don't really care if this team improves. Like, I want to be clear in saying that, like, because you can't somehow simultaneously want improvement while also never discussing what it is that needs to be improved upon, right? Like, I would never tell folks how to fan, but have some standards, because the guys in that locker room sure as hell do. And we just publicly hold guys to the same standard we 100% sure know that they hold themselves to. And I'm okay with that. Hope y'all are too. Can we get to
it? Clip that. Damn. Okay. So Robert points out, I expected a slow start after a Broncos beating.
Thank you.
That's not a bad point. My biggest problem
I just said the same thing tonight. On Hacker After Dark. Sorry.
Shouts to Hacker, of course. My dude Ryan's the man. My problem with the slow start after the whooping in question is that it was self-induced. But I went on my rant about the hook and ladder already on Sunday's edition of the Duval Dive. So where are we headed next, Travis? I think we've spoken our piece being Trevor haters for the evening.
People seem to love the offensive line talk last week. I thought that was fun. Just because most of the podcasts don't really look at offensive line blocking and where the pressure came from and all those conversations.
I've assimilated the defensive back into the collective, baby. Woo!
And we had 2 offensive linemen missing this past week in both Robert Hainsey and Robert Hainsey and Patrick McCarry. So similar to last week, we want to take a closer look at the offensive line with playoff football approaching. But before I even set it up, let me say this. So the Colts brought a lot of pressure from the inside. We talked about that on Sunday's pod. And I've seen a lot of Jacksonville Jaguars fans just waving it off as, well, they got extra pressure because Patrick McCarry and Robert Hainsey was missing. That's just what it is, right? Of course. Mystery solved.
Frankly.
And that's been the overall vibe I've gotten from everyone, including people in the media. And I'm like, bro, are y'all watching the film? I don't agree with that. And I want to be honest and say that. Like, sure, Walker Little struggled. I think he did struggle. I actually didn't think that that Jonah Monheim struggled. I thought he actually played reasonably well. He had like 2 bad plays overall in both the run and the pass game. Like I thought it was to that level that he did real well in his second start. I'm sorry. But
Yeah.
I thought, but I thought the Colts they brought nearly the same amount of pressure as they did when the first time they played Jacksonville a few weeks ago, and I think folks just forgot about that. All the hits that Trevor took a few weeks back because the Jaguars won that game. But if you go back and look at the film, like I did, nah, he took about the same amount of hits in this game than that game, and they blitzed Trevor Lawrence on what was it, 51% of their snaps in the first time they played him. They blitzed him on 47% of his snaps in this game. So it's not to say that this is the new information. It's just man, they did the same thing they were going to do, and I expect other teams to kind of do the same thing if they have the personnel. But Trevor's been on fire against the blitz either way. Shout out Dan Griffiths, Action Sports Jax. Like the defenses have blitzed Trevor Lawrence on 43% of his dropbacks in the last month, and he's answered with a 65% completion rate, nearly 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 124 quarterback rating. Sorry, well, I guess that's passer rating. Is that passer rating? I don't know. Yeah,
NFL quarterback rating. Yeah, whatever. I'm not. Well, first of all, I'm floored by this, Travis. I've been told he's only as good as his first read, but I had to get that in. I'm sorry.
No, but again, just me looking at this actual tape, I'm like, nah, these ain't issues that just exist because Patrick McCarry and Jonah Monheim. These issues existed when we had Jonah Monheim and Patrick McCarry there. Folks just forgot about it because they won the game and they just moved on to the next week. But nah, it's the same thing, and the issues will exist because they kept bringing more guys.
You meant Hainsey.
Well, sorry, Hainsey. Sorry, Hainsey. Yes. So like a lot of those pressures that they actually got in this game weren't because the Jaguars were bad in all of them. It was sometimes they just brought an extra guy, and it is what it is. Like on the early pressure, that was because Cole Van Lanning got beat inside. When we talked about that a few weeks now. When he does struggle, it's because he's getting beat inside by guys with power. On a few of those snaps, it was just the running back got beat. Like on that last one, that was LaQuint Allen getting beat by pressure. On this one, that was
saying that out loud. I'm sorry.
Right on that one, the last one we just watched, that's Travis Etienne getting beat. Like again, they pressured these guys and made it happen. On the last one, it was an extra guy that was blitzing. They don't have enough guys to pick them up. The one snap.
It's not just somebody getting beat. Sometimes they send more dudes than you got. But this is where Trevor's gotten really smart, is turning it into an opportunity. And that was just a hell of a catch. I mean, let's be honest.
Well, no. I want us to watch this one again because Ezra Cleveland gets stepped on by Jonah Monheim and gets bowled over. And I feel bad for the man on that one because Monheim cleaned up. Monheim cleaned up on these guys. After stepping on him, after stepping on Cleveland, he cleans everything up, and Trevor just walks on in, and I'm like, they looking at that tape like, man, you don't look athletic at all. But also, it's not his fault, right?
No, not at all. Not at all.
That's why I felt bad for real. But then you got like the games up front, they just dominated. And that's the part that takes me back to that Seattle Seahawks game, takes me back to that Rams game when they had all those same issues with communicating because they couldn't get it right. And that's not a Monheim issue. That's not a Walker Little issue. They were having that problem with the other guys also. So that's still something they got to get shored up because again, playoff football ain't gonna wait for no man, and they got to figure it out.
Yeah, and it's similar to the point we raised in the Duval Dive Live. The stunt was killing the Jags before it was cool here, to talk about missing members of the offense.
Multiple team who has the personnel, they were going to get it done. And that's been the whole question this entire time, is like whether or not they were going to figure it out. They did for a few weeks. It also coincided with them playing a few easier defenses. But like, again, you look at that one. That's Ezra Cleveland missing the game and not passing guys off and communicating, right? You got to come off of it. Jonah Monheim has his guy. You got to come off of it. You got to have mobile eyes and keep shifting that thing right to left. That's the issue
that one was
the Jacksonville
Jaguars. There on that one. That's one where Parker.
Oh, which one?
This last one you just showed. Not that one.
So the one after this one.
Yeah, it's not that one. They find the stunt. It's a thing that happens. I get it. But this is just boom. I got you beat inside. Bye, see you.
Oh, yeah. Walker Little gets immediately beat. Just immediate pressure across his face.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, so that's kind of what I was talking about. Walker Little again gets beat immediately. some of that's just going to be you don't have the guy. And I saw a lot of folks online saying Parker Little played well, and then I'm just like, I didn't see that. But then the pressure rate stats come out from PFF, and they're like, oh, maybe he didn't play well. I'm like, dude, just look at the tape. He didn't play well.
The highs were high, but the lows were low. I saw him on a few plays push dudes backwards and actually dominate them thoroughly. And then there were a few plays like that. But at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence is a whole new entity who can read these things now. Like if anybody who's listened to the Night Shift podcast and heard me call out their quarterback for just not seeing that something's going to come that you can't handle, if you want to know what that looks like, watch this tape that Travis is showing where Trevor Lawrence still makes plays even though he's under attack.
Yep. So Walker Little had 4 pressures. Anton Harrison had 2 with Ezra Cleveland and Cole Van Lannon. Jonah Monheim had 2. Also had 2 pressures. Even though I disagreed with that, I actually thought he only had 1 because I don't count that pressure. It was him getting tripped by his own man stepping on his foot as a pressure. That's just me.
I mean, you gotta count it, but we'll put an asterisk by it. It's the whole thing. I got you. You're making.
And I counted 1 pressure from both that Travis Etienne and LaQuint Allen, which PFF seemed to agree. But that's why I do my own stats when I look at my own film. That's just me. And then again, I like to show you guys my work to show you where I'm looking at. Hey, that's a pressure versus that not being one. That's just kind of where I fall with this bad boy. But for the most part, those are my main takeaways as far as the offensive line. I thought they played really well, and I thought they played reasonably well, on the run side. But again, there's some of those same issues from the same people. Didn't think Walker Little played very well.
I'll even add this too. I'm seeing it in the comments. What happens in the line if the line is healthy or when the line is healthy? Asks Reyes in the comments. Does Walker Little go back to the bench? I'm going to say something that sticks not only with something I was saying back in August, Travis, but something that I think is the case. A, I don't know how healthy Patrick McCarry is going to get. I'm going to lead with that. And B, at this point today, my mind can change and based on something I see. I don't watch these dudes practice every day, but I feel like Walker Little is the better option than Patrick McCarry today, depending on who you're facing. Now, granted,
that changes. Yeah, that's obviously going to change depending on who you're facing because of their strengths and weaknesses. But man, I have not seen the dominance that folks that keep telling me is going to pop up or tell me that exists with Walker Little at guard in the run game, because that's his strength at tackle. But the guys you're facing at tackle and the guys you're facing at guard aren't always going to be the same guys. These behemoths in the inside are just different beasts. They're made different.
Don't be surprised in the coming draft, and we've made this point, both you and I, in draft season, that you don't fix a line in one season. Now, Jimmy Stones and Liam Coen become pretty damn close. I'm going to give them their credit, okay? But I know, I feel confident. I would be shocked if they didn't draft. It marked the date, 12/30 rather. Still technically in 2025. I'm making this prediction, right? I think you get 2 starters in the coming draft by the next, we'll say, full season's end, maybe out to 27. I don't know, but I think there are 2 more starters coming in the coming off season. Actually, let me say that instead of that.
Right. I could see 2 starters coming, but then I can't even call them starters because of the way these guys move. Like I would love to say they're going to sign this free agent and he's going to be a starter. I don't know if I even believe that because they truly seem like they believe in competition. Because they simply believe in competition. You're gonna bring a guy in who is a presumptive starter, but you don't have to earn it. And this don't feel like a Gardner Minshew versus Trevor Lawrence earning situation. Like it feels like an actual. You got to come in here and take this job.
And how else do you breed a team whose line is so deep where you're missing 2 interior dudes? You go down as 2 scores like the Jags did, making mistakes and still win the damn ball game. That's exactly.
It's funny. I saw somebody. I think it was BCB Couch on X said it. Like he was like, "Dude, folks don't understand. I feel more confident about this team winning a game when they're down 2 scores than I feel about this team winning a game when they up 2 scores because Jaguars, and also because Trevor Lawrence sometimes it acts a little weird when they get ahead by double digits. That was a early season 9 game span where he would throw an interception or a turnover when they were up multiple points. So this team is great in comeback mode, if that makes sense. So from that perspective, I'm like, no. I feel way comfortable if this team's down 10 points. I was never fearful that they were going to lose the game. but up 10 is when I'm like, y'all gonna hold on to this, or y'all gonna let Davis Mills come back, or y'all gonna let the other team come back? Like, does that make sense? Is that PTSD all over?
Well, first of all, I'm going to add this element. Division games are weird. I think
They
that's
are.
worth
They
mentioning.
are. That's fair, also.
But to your point, I don't know that the Jags were ever in a place other than perhaps the New York Jets were ever in a place, in my opinion, where we were sure they were that much better than what was across from them. Right? I might have picked the Colts for a two-score loss, and I might have been right if it weren't for self-inflicted wounds. But you were feeling the bad juju from moment one, if you remember from last week. I know you do.
Yeah.
I mean, the Duval Divers, right? So all that to say, I know where it's coming from. What you need, what you want to see is a Duval diver, or remember the Duval devout next year when there is an earlier game that perhaps isn't great. We'll call it in September. You feel that same way without knowing that they've grown already for the season. It's a whole thing,
right? Like, we've known this is a young team from day one. We always knew this was a young team, and with young teams is going to come inconsistency. It's going to come growth. It's going to become, are they going to be the team that they obviously have shown themselves to be week in and week out, or are they going to be a team that has to have it pulled out of them? And that was always the biggest question for this Jacksonville Jaguars roster. They've shown, between their leadership, between the guys they have in the locker room, between they have the guys leading them, that they are going to be able to beat any damn body. But they've also shown that between the Raiders game, between the Cardinals game, between the second Houston game with the backup quarterback, between the Bengals game with the backup quarterback, that they could also lose against damn near anybody if they simply refuse to show up. They tried to do it almost on Sunday against the Colts, because after having a big game, they generally have these letdowns, and then they have to have that smack him and get right. Like, all right, just that reset button. And that's kind of what it came back down to. It's like, all right, that's my biggest fear for the playoffs for this team. I haven't said this to anybody on like publicly, but this has been a thought that's been happening between me and my family, and like in regular conversations, just talking about this team, because again, they are also Jaguar fans, and so we talk about this team all the time. And that's been my biggest fear, is like, this team is consistently, after winning a big game or having a big, like, where it feels like it's a Super Bowl or playoff type of atmosphere, like the Kansas City Chiefs game or the Denver game or something along those lines, where it's like, all right, cool. Are they going to come back the next week ready? Well, they've shown consistently that they're going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of Bitcoin all over the place, the volatility. well, that's my concern for the playoffs, because I fear for whoever the Jaguars get in that week one of the NFL playoffs. If it's the Bills, if it's the Chargers, if it's whoever, I think the Jaguars are going to beat the brakes off of them. I do earnestly feel that that's what's going to be the case. My question is, on that next week, are they going to be up for what's to come? Does that make sense? Like, are they going to be as equally amped to keep this thing going when it's playoff time, and you don't have the capacity, you don't have the ability to keep this up and down thing, because they're going to send you home? That's my question for.
And here's where I'm with Social Alky answering your question. I think your pain lives in a world with a lot of other coaches that ain't doing it like Liam. Social Alky mentions, however, Liam is doing a great job keeping them focused and their memory short. And it's something he said in just recently in this past press conference about the next play is always most important. And the thing I think is interesting that he pointed out, and actually I'll give T. Wiggs his credit too, Locked On Jaguars. He said the same thing, as a matter of fact. And I picked it out once I heard Liam's presser myself. It ain't just the bad ish that he moves past. It's the good ish that he moves past. How do you move past good ish? You don't sit atop the laurels and get comfortable. And I think that general piece is what's different, because hell, I never heard of it put quite that way before. And maybe these guys haven't either.
No, that's fair. And that's why I say it's always going to be growth. But just because folks want to say that they move past these things doesn't necessarily make it true. And I'm not judging. I'm not throwing shade to Liam. I'm not throwing shade to the staff. But I'm looking at what the games, like, outcomes actually happen. Like the Jaguars, I can pull up the schedule right now. We can just look at it like This is not new information. This is not new information for us. They win the opening game against the Carolina Panthers, which I viewed as a big game. It's the first one of his system. They're trying to teach these guys how to win and build up an organization.
You and I were unique that we took that seriously. Yeah, everybody else like
they lose. They lose the next game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's with a backup quarterback in the game. They just couldn't figure out what that was. They win the game, which felt like a real playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs in a close affair with the pick six and all of this other stuff. And then they come out and have a stinker against the Seattle Seahawks, which I thought they were going to beat the Seahawks by 10 plus points. I'm going to be real and say that. Yeah. Like I'm really just being honest with you guys. They came out of the bye week with the close freaking nearly loss against the Las Vegas Raiders
by one play, literally.
Right, by one play, lost against the Texans the week after that, beat the brakes off the Los Angeles Chargers, and then nearly lost against the Arizona Cardinals, got taken to overtime. Again, I'm not making these things up. This exists. So again, because a coach says we're going to move past this stuff, that's great. And he's done a reasonably solid job, especially considering how young this team is. But let's not recreate reality. The schedule is what it is. They have absolutely not moved on immediately from the good and the bad. They have been up and down this entire time. They can be better, and they've shown much of that throughout after this bye week. But nevertheless, they have been inconsistent. They beat the Broncos, and then it showed up Sunday against Indianapolis and was a little bit on the downside. And I don't think that's unfair to say.
And it's not. But here's what I think the other extreme is that I don't want to say you're forgetting, but I'm leaning a lot more on. Blinding Rat puts it even better than I did earlier in the comments. I think the difference between this year's team dealing with that wavering, right? It's a little bit up and down. In the past, a mistake would send them spiraling. Liam has them recovering much quicker. That's what I'm getting at.
Blinding Rat, you are on it. Now that is factual. Now I will lean into that all day. They have generally not folded when these mistakes happen. They don't spiral into 10 point losses. They don't go hold over until the next week. Even when they had the Houston situation happen, and you talk to the guys in the locker room, and they're just like, starry eyed, like, I don't know what the hell happened. Like, again, that Houston game would have spiraled into another loss that next week against the Chargers. Instead, it spiraled into pissing them the hell off and coming out and beating the brakes off another team. I actually agree with you that he gets them over that in that way. But again, the week after, it's the week after they've had a chance to listen to 7 days of media hype, or talk to their family members, or just internalize all those other things that's happening in and outside of the building. That's what I'm referencing is.
Okay. Well, you're trying to definitely say it's not 2023 when they was feeling themselves a little too bit with that.
That's fair. They ain't got to go to London. They ain't got to go to London and buy themselves. That's fair. So from that perspective, I'm with you. I'm with you all. I understand it, but that's where my mind is anyways, nevertheless.
Yeah, man. Listen. This was just supposed to be a hype episode. Like, oh, look, we're doing so good here, and you're dealing with the Jags. We're damn near an hour in. Goodness gracious. Hey, listen, guys, because we had all this fun with you, we're going to certainly do the preview for taking out the Titans, hopefully sweeping the Titans over here later in the week. But in the meantime, Travis D. Holmes, tell these Duval divers where you could be found.
I can be found on the Duval Dive. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice, please click that like button. First of all, if you're in the stream and you haven't clicked the like button, I appreciate you for engaging with us. But we love your eyes on the screen, but we always love those little clicks on that little button. So help us out there. But comment on the stream. If you listen to us on the audio side, please rate and review us and help us out. Because again, this thing's only growing because you guys keep engaging, you keep liking, and it keeps spreading to the people that's around you. So this algorithm keeps helping us out. But follow my work on BigCatCountry.com. We'll have all the post-game write-ups and every piece of breaking news surrounding this Jacksonville Jaguars team, so you can get your information from people on the ground. And also, follow me on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes. You know what it is. We'll talk some Jaguars football and everything else, but let them know where you can be found. Also, please, sir.
Of course, I'm Kyle Nass, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings following bowl games, UCF, and all that. blackandgoldbannerrat.com and the Night Shift podcast. And for tomorrow night's game, the Citrus Bowl, sponsored by Cheez-It, you'll see me on Reddit, r/CFB. You'll see my work there covering the Citrus Bowl. Shouts, of course, to the Scouting Depot, who gave me the opportunity to cover the Cure Bowl and the Pop-Tarts Bowl. If you haven't checked those out, please do that there as well. Hit them likes, like Preston be trying to tell you. Do just as good a job, if not better, hyping us up as you did when we told you to make your appeal if you wore teal, all that stuff. But yeah, and social alchemy makes a reference. Pro Bowls apparently do matter when it's time for Hall of Fame consideration. That sucks. You're absolutely right about that.
Bias begets more bias. That's all it is. Right.
It's a cascade. Respect ain't coming, fools. Listen, I'm with all of that. So for my esteemed co-host, a personal champion, Tim Allen, thank you, by the way, in the comments there. We're glad to have you aboard as well. For my personal champion, for all you Duval divers, for the Duval devout that has made this season just a bit extra fun in enjoying all its greatness, even as a non-fan, I might add. This is Kyle Nash, the student of the game. Until next time, everyone, class dismissed.